So, today I want to talk a bit about how profound it is for us to be in tune with Mother Nature. And this, of course, will have different aspects to it depending on what part of the hemisphere that you live in. I'm going to talk more about the northern part of the hemisphere because, as you can probably see behind me, we've got snow. So, that's where I am. And, it wasn't probably up until maybe 2 years ago that I recognized how profound nature is in terms of what it does for us when we are in balance with it. And that is the key word that I think is the takeaway, is the balance that we have with nature. Now, it's kind of tough to do over these last few years, especially since our weather patterns have been manipulated and have changed so drastically, and it has had a profound effect on us as well as the balance of nature in general and everything that depends on thriving within it. But something I want to point out that I recognized in my journey was when I was really ill. I recognized that I didn't have a deep connection with the feminine, which is what the earth represents. And when I took the time to immerse myself more within nature by spending more time in it, I recognized that Mother Nature is like a big sponge. She absorbs all of the negative energies that we have, that we come into contact with on a day-to-day basis. So that might be something that happens for you through work, it could be through family or difficult relationships, or it possibly could be something that just happens in your day-to-day life when you're out and about. Over time, if we're not using nature to dissolve those energies that are stuck in our aura field that, obviously engulfs us, then what happens is our field becomes darker and absorbs more and more negativity, and then eventually we get sick. And eventually we have illness, and worse yet, it could even turn into disease. When I started immersing myself more into Mother Nature, the first thing I realized was how much my health improved mentally and physically, because that is one of the biggest things that she is designed to do. She is designed to be our healer. And that goes for people who even spend time in the gym. If you're spending an exorbitant amount of time only in the gym, using it as your outlet, like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're ignoring what you could be doing outside, then you too are going to suffer the consequences as well. So this goes for everybody. And nature can be found in all areas of the world. Even if you live in a city, there are parks that you can go into. Anything that you can have your energy absorbed by her is going to prove to have profound effects on your health. That's one thing. The second thing that we need to note is that, despite the fact that we've been told by the patriarchy that January is the new year, it is not. March is the new year. March is the year when we start to now, instead of contract like we have been through the winter, we start to expand. And expansion happens when we're ready to come out of that dormant stage or hibernation, put the seeds of the things that we have gathered that have been lying dormant within us, and now take them out there and spread them so that they can now have life. Again, this is the same when it comes to the bears. The bears hibernate for a reason. They take the few months prior to hibernation to build up their fat reserves. Then they go into dormancy or hibernation, where they're now feeding off of those fat reserves that they'd gathered beforehand. But while they're in hibernation doesn't mean that life is not continuing on. In fact, it's continuing on in a massive way. It's giving birth to new life. Come springtime, when the weather starts to warm up and the ground unthaws, that is when the bears are ready now to come out of their hibernation with their cubs and once again start the cycle of life. And that is exactly the way it is intended for us as well too. We're not intended to go out into the world during these months and put our best face forward, have all these aspirations and goals to meet. We're intended to take all of the things that we may want to achieve and ruminate on them over that period of winter. Rumination means that we're mulling things over. We're giving birth to something by taking our time and going through all of the things that we may want to put forth, and really taking that period to rest, to relax, and to allow Spirit to give us the whisperings that we need to hear so that we can put those things out into the world. So if you currently are somebody who is feeling very disconnected because you think that January is a time of year where you need to get out there and put your best foot forward, let me tell you, it is not. What you are doing right now in terms of hibernating or laying dormant is perfectly acceptable. In fact, it's kind of like the hare and the tortoise, right? The hare just gets out there and goes. But then by the time of the middle of the year, the hare typically is going to burn out. It's not going to have any energy restores to pull on. The tortoise will, because you're starting out slow. You recognize the beauty behind pulling yourself back for a period of time so that you can be given gifts over that time. And those gifts are intended to sort of be weeded through what is applicable, what is not applicable. Once you have your seeds that you are left with that you want to plant in the world, then that will take place in the spring when we are now once again in a time of expansion. So just an encouraging thought for those of you who might feel that your dormancy is leading into depression because you're not keeping up with everybody else and where it is that they're at. This couldn't be further from the truth. You are exactly where you're meant to be, and this is a time that you really should take and enjoy, because when the time comes that you are to put those seeds out there, well, then that will be a time that will be meant for you to be busy cultivating your dream on a bigger scale. Anyways, much love and light, everybody. Thank you for listening.